I know folks are watching the number of cases rising again and are wondering what it means for them. Well, here's the truth. If you're fully vaccinated, you're safer with a higher degree of protection. But if you're not vaccinated, you are not protected. And now, what we have now is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And by the way, you know the old expression, you notice a lot of our very conservative friends have finally had an altar call. They've seen the Lord, whether it's on Fox News or whether it's the most conservative commentators.
And more of those Republicans and conservative commentators have seen the Lord, as President Biden put it. We'll tell you about one conservative radio host in Tennessee who originally didn't think he needed to be vaccinated until his own struggle with the virus. What he's telling his listeners now. We're also following the first House committee, the hearing on the January 6th Capitol riot. It is set for tomorrow. And Speaker Nancy Pelosi is bringing another Republican voice to the table. We'll tell you who it is and talk about what's at stake. Also, Team USA continues its quest for more Olympic medals. We'll get you up to speed on all of the action in Tokyo. Good morning and welcome to Morning Joe. It is Monday, July 26th. Joe, welcome back. We missed you. We're going to begin this morning with what we've been talking about as it gets worse and worse. Coronavirus infections continuing to rise among the unvaccinated Americans, and the nation's top infectious diseases expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says the U.S. is headed in the wrong direction. NBC News correspondent Megan Fitzgerald has the latest.
The worst case scenario among the unvaccinated.
We feel like we're kind of going back into battle again, and it's definitely another wave.
The highly contagious Delta variant fueling a surge of new cases across the country. Dire warnings from the nation's top doctor.
Going into the fall with the Delta variant, we could have a really serious problem with a considerable surge of infections.
The variant sweeping through the South, Texas, Arkansas, and Florida, accounting for 40% of new cases in the country. But in Miami, thousands packing a stadium for a live concert.
You're literally like drowning in people.
As the CDC now says they could recommend masks for the fully vaccinated indoors, joining cities like Los Angeles, St. Louis, and New Orleans. But in Arkansas, a new law banning mask mandates goes into effect this week.
It's important not to have the current debate about mask wearing, but to have the current emphasis on getting a vaccine.
Only 49% of the country is fully vaccinated, those without the shots making up 99.5% of COVID deaths. Frontline workers, once again, with urgent pleas to the public.
We are seeing younger patients, all unvaccinated, that are sicker.
Dr. Michael Bolding has been working in the COVID ward in Fayetteville, Arkansas since the start of the pandemic. He's seeing more COVID patients now than ever before.
What would it mean to you and your colleagues if more people got vaccinated?
Less pain and suffering, and call less families to tell them their loved ones didn't make it.
That's Linda Mercer's greatest fear. She's a grandmother now fighting for her life.
I'm admitting my wrong because I was being selfish by not getting vaccinated. It really changes your outlook on life when you almost feel like I may be called home.
Our thanks to Megan Fitzgerald for that report. Now, Megan mentioned Florida, which has become the new COVID-19 epicenter in the United States. No state in the nation is coming close to experiencing the Sunshine State's explosive surge in new cases. Hospitalizations in some areas are increasing at the fastest rate since the start of the pandemic. According to the CDC, Florida accounts for 1 in 5 new infections in the country. Over 73,000 new cases were reported over the past week alone. Since the start of the month, the weekly total of new cases reported by Florida jumped more than fourfold, reaching its highest point since mid-January.
Well, you know, and Mika, it's gotten so bad in Florida that you're actually hearing Ron DeSantis talking about the need for vaccinations. We've seen a spate of Republicans who were quiet on this matter for quite some time, who saw it as politically perilous, who are now actually telling those in their states who are getting sick, going to the hospital and many dying, that they have to get the vaccine. So whatever risks are inherent in those vaccines, it's nowhere near as dangerous as not getting the vaccination. And you see in Florida and you see in other states that haven't encouraged that in the past, just an explosion, an absolute explosion in hospitalizations. 99.5% of everybody who is going to the hospital and dying haven't been vaccinated. And yet we're still having this debate. It is surreal, and it is tragic. And for those who've politicized this, the death is on their hands. I don't think there's any other way to put it. And of course, the misinformation that continues to flow from Facebook primarily. Yes, I know there are a lot of people that like say, oh, look at Fox News, look at Fox News. Well, even their top shows get 2-3 million viewers out of 325 million Americans. It's Facebook that's everywhere. You talk to public health care officials and you ask them, what's your biggest challenge? They will say Facebook. The lies that are spread, the misinformation that is spread. The doctor in Florida who's actually making money by going viral, by spreading misinformation and lies about what's happening with COVID and the vaccines. That's what's causing this in a large part. There's some underlying issues that also we have to address as a country. But we've got to get the word out, and Facebook, until such point that they're broken up by antitrust laws the way they should be broken up by antitrust laws, Facebook needs to do more because these deaths are on them. Just like challenges to America's democracy, we'll get to that later. But, you know, NBC's Megan Fitzgerald, she also mentioned in Arkansas in her report that one of the state's candidates for governor, somebody you've heard of, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, is making the case for getting vaccinated, noting that she and her family got what she called the Trump vaccine. The former press secretary for the Trump White House writes in an op-ed, quote, based on the advice of my doctor, and please get your advice from your doctor, not from some idiot cousin on Facebook, not from some idiot coworker on Facebook that's trying to kill you. Yes, they're trying to kill you with bad information. Get your information from your doctor that you've known your entire life. So Sarah Huckabee Sanders writes, based on the advice from my doctor, I determined that the benefits of getting vaccinated outweighed the potential risks. I was also reassured after President Trump and his family were vaccinated. If getting vaccinated was safe enough for them, I felt it was safe enough for me. I believe in freedom and personal responsibility. Arkansas should not be told they can't work because their businesses or jobs are not essential. Our schools and churches should not be shut down. Large gatherings should not be banned. There should not be mandates to get vaccinated or wear masks. A conservative radio host is also changing his tune about getting the coronavirus vaccine after landing in the hospital. Phil Valentine, whose show airs in Nashville, is hospitalized with COVID pneumonia. After expressing resistance to getting the vaccine on air, the 61-year-old is now urging his listeners to get the shot. A statement released by the radio station reads in part this, quote, Phil would like for his listeners to know that while he has never been an anti-vaxxer, he regrets not being more vehemently pro-vaccine. Meanwhile, Valentine's wife gave an update on his increasingly grave condition on Saturday, explaining, quote, he is still not getting well. Please pray for me. I am at a breaking point. And of course, from what we hear, his situation keeps going up and down, up and down. Our prayers are certainly with him and all others right now who are fighting COVID.